Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. My gosh, this has been quite a year. I don't know if you've noticed, I've reached the 5,000 subscriber mark, so I'd like to thank everyone for that. Very, very appreciative. Channel's doing well, and most importantly, Vincenzo's doing well. Lots of therapy here. I've been enjoying it thoroughly, and it's been marked this year. 2024 will go down, at least for me and my fountain pen collecting, as the year of the Grail pens, if you will. I've acquired quite a few, and you know what? It's not over until it's over, as a famous man said once, and it's certainly not over, especially when you look at this gem of a pen. Yes, it just stumbled on me, if you will. I had just purchased the Dolce Vita, the ultimate fountain pen for me, and there it was, Peyton Street, that posted this beautiful Parker Duofold Jasper Red 1996 model, and you know what? The price was good. I could not resist. I did want to finally own a Parker Duofold and take a look at how it compared to all of those pens that are constantly trying to imitate it. It's iconic. It is a Grail pen. It's appreciative. It gives me intellectual satisfaction to own this pen. So stay tuned for my review. Here is the Parker Duofold Mark II Jasper Red. Stay tuned. Now, I think it's incumbent on us that when we look at the Parker Duofold, that we take a look, at least briefly speaking, on a little bit about the history of this iconic pen. Now, we all know that the Parker Duofold is an iconic writing instrument. It's left an indelible mark on the history of stationery and writing culture. Its story is one of innovation. There's craftsmanship. There's an evolution, change, reflecting broader trends in design and in consumerism over the past century, which has led many, many other fountain pen manufacturers to imitate or even, frankly, outright copy it. So let's take a look a little bit about the history and where does this iconic writing instrument come from? How did it evolve, and what its origins are right from the very outset. The Parker Pen Company itself was founded in 1888 by George Safford Parker in Janesville, Wisconsin. Parker aimed to create a reliable writing instrument, and by the turn of the century he had established a reputation for quality with his successful line of fountain pens. The introduction of the Duofold in 1921 marked a significant turning point for the company and the fountain pen market as a whole. The Duofold was initially conceived as a high-end pen, embodying elegance and functionality. Its name, which suggests two folds, refers to its dual inking filling system, allowing users to choose between a lever filler or an eyedropper filling method. The pen's distinctive design featured a streamlined silhouette and vibrant colors, particularly the famous Big Red model in orange red, which captivated consumers' imaginations and still does today. The 1920s were a period of economic prosperity in the United States, and the duofold quickly gained popularity among the affluent. It was marketed as a symbol of success and sophistication, appealing to professionals, artists, and writers alike. Parker's clever marketing strategies, including collaborations with celebrities and literary figures, further enhanced the pen's allure. The duofold's quality craftsmanship contributed to its reputation. It was made from a durable hard rubber and later from celluloid, both materials offering vibrancy and longevity. The pen's gold nib was known for its smooth writing experience, cementing its place as a favorite among discerning users. However, the onset of the Great Depression in the late 1920s marked a significant shift in consumer behavior, and this for obvious reasons. As economic hardships loomed, demand for luxury items, including the duofold, declined sharply. In response, Mr. Parker adopted its offerings, introducing more affordable models to attract a broader audience. Despite these efforts, the duofold struggled to maintain its status in the face of rising competition from cheaper alternatives and the advent of the ballpoint pen in the 1940s. The duofold experienced a resurgence in the 1980s as vintage collecting became a popular hobby. Enthusiasts sought out classic models, prompting Parker to reissue the duofold in various limited editions. This revival was marked by the introduction of new materials, colors, and nib styles, allowing modern users to experience the pen's legacy while appealing to contemporary tastes. The 1990s and early 2000s saw Parker experimenting with design and innovation while honoring the duofold's heritage. The introduction of Duofold International and the Duofold Centennial models offered users options in size and style, catering to both traditionalists and those seeking modern sensibilities. It's the Duofold Centennial model that forms the object of this review. Today, the Parker Duofold is more than just a writing instrument. It represents a rich history of craftsmanship and design innovation, a design that has been copied by many. It has become a collectible item, cherished by pen enthusiasts and collectors. Its significance extends beyond its functionality. The duofold is a symbol of personal expression, creativity, and the art of writing, and most of all, longevity. There you have it, folks. Beautiful history. Learned a lot about this gorgeous icon. It's gone through a lot of changes, but somehow its base is always there. It also got me to understand that some of the imitations that we'll be looking at in the pen comparison actually are imitations of not the modern duofold, but perhaps an older model. And we'll take a look at that as well and do a detailed comparison. But I got to tell you, I'm really proud to hold this in my hand. It's a piece of history. And again, that's what makes a Grail pen, folks. My Delta Dolce Vita gave me emotional appreciation, that emotional connection. This gives me an intellectual connection with what Mr. Parker set out to do back in the 1920s. So there you have it, folks. Stay tuned for my detailed review. Okay, so here is my Parker Duofold. A couple of things that I've learned in just studying a little bit of the history is this iconic arrow-shaped clip, which is, long been associated with Parker pens, I think was first introduced on the Duofold in the 1940s. Before then, you had kind of a rounded ball here. You had a clip that was kind of flat. And then, of course, this iconic clip was introduced. And we've seen it in many, many, many imitations, especially Chinese imitations. And originally it was a little bit shorter, and then in 1980s, when this pen had a resurgence, that clip became much longer, and the arrow, before would finish around here, and then they extended it a little bit, so you got the longer clip. The other distinguishing factor over the years, I would say to you, is the center band. You had different combinations of 2 bands, 1 band, 3 bands, then a big solid band over the years. And then, of course, in the, I believe it's in the 90s, they introduced the 2-size Parker Duofold. You had the International, which was a little bit smaller, and then you have a Centennial, like this one, which is the bigger version. So you had 2 versions that came into play, and I'm glad I got the bigger one. The other thing about this particular model, which is, by the way, the Mark II model, MK2, you have MK1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it goes right up to 6, distinguish different periods of time. What I like about it is the fact that that center band has a little bit of relief. It's not a flattened sort of band. There's kind of a round shape to it, which I think gives it a very, very nice distinguished look. Just a beautiful, beautiful pen. The resin here is Jasper Red. I guess that the jasper being reflected by some of those black chips in this kind of cracked ice resin. The other thing that I find just absolutely gorgeous, and I hope my camera will cooperate here. It should. Look at that finial duofold. I think that is just an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous finial. And there is some texture to that. There is some relief, which makes it all that more special. There, of course, is your clip. Now, when I bought this from Peyton Street, she went through that it has some scratches here, some scratches there. I've got to tell you, they're micro of nature, because I don't see, this pen is like brand new to me in any event. So now she mentioned something about it having a number somewhere, and I just can't find where that number is. Now, I do see at the bottom here, made in the UK. And then I see Parker. Oh, there you have it. It's, I need a loop to see this. 1 second. I'll be right back. Get a loop because I can't see it. Okay, figured it out. It's Roman numeral 2Y. And from my understanding, that probably stands for the Mark II model for 1996. And that's what identifies the ear of this pen. So it's got a few years, so to speak. Now, what else can we take a look at? Let's see how many turns to open. It's 1.5, roughly a little more than 1.5, to reveal what I find is just an absolutely gorgeous nib. And I'm just hoping my camera will cooperate on me here. Here we go. Look at that nib, folks. Isn't that gorgeous? It has duofold written across. It's a kind of a double dual colored. There's a bit of gold and a bit of chrome, or it does have the Parker name on it, and on the other side the feed has an F to stand for fine. Just an absolutely one of the better looking nibs that I have in my collection. I've got to tell you, very, very nice. And we'll take a look at how it writes in just a few seconds. It is a cartridge converter, and of course, because it's a duofold, it's supposed to be eyedropper proof, but I'm not sure that this modern version can be eyedroppered. I see lots of metal there, and I would not want to try, put it this way. Very nice converter with a Parker branding on it. It's filled now, so the nib also has 18 karat 750 inscribed in it, so it is an 18 karat nib. Very nice looking feed. So there you have the pen inside and out. Now, of course, the question is, how does it compare? How have some of the imitations compared or tried to imitate this particular model or other models? Well, stay tuned. We'll take out those pens and we'll do a detailed pen comparison. Okay, here are essentially, I've taken out most of the pens that I have in my collection that are duofold inspired. First thing to notice is the clip. And you could see that some, especially Jinhao here, and Admok and Mahjong, and this is another, it's kind of a steel Jinhao. I don't even know it has a style number that I picked off. It's completely metal, but you could see the Parker clips there are obvious. This Jinhao Centennial here has the old style clip. The Rosetta, which is duofold inspired, has kind of a clip that was, in the 30s, I think, popular, along with my Kegaloo here, which you see is just a straightforward. The Mahjong, I think this is the M700, does have the Parker styled clip with the arrow, if you will. The Jinhaos are the ones I think that kind of really copy, although I gotta admit the Admok looks like a copy of the Jinhao right here. As far as the bands are concerned, the double band that you see here, yeah, it is similar to what you see in the subject pen. Also, what I noticed is that maybe my pen is the shortest of them all. They all have a little bit more on them, although the two Centennials here seem to be almost exactly the same size. But the two M700s don't have the rounded off finial or top, more squarish, if you will, and don't have it in that black top, which is a real identifying factor of the duofold, I think, to have that stress the top and the bottom with black inserts there. So there you have, I finally get to compare my duofold inspirations to the actual thing. And even there, I mean, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of duofold models. I mean, one could be a collector just of duofolds, and that would keep you busy for quite a bit and would cost you a bundle as well. So I'm kind of in between here in 1996. It gives me an icon, and it adds to my Grail pen collection. But I may not stop there. There may be others that I may want to get, maybe especially the orange, iconic 1920s styled duofold, which I'm sure are not cheap. Now, I'm not going to do an uncapping or uncapped and posted example, but I will mention that this pen, thus post, although it posts, it's kind of lengthy, but it's got a good weight. That cap doesn't really back weight it that much, so it does make it comfortable. The pen has got just an absolute great comfort zone, and both in terms of length, width, and weight, if you will. The one that compares to it the best, I would say, the Atmok is a little, surprisingly enough, is a little bit heavier. I think the best one, if you're going to compare weight, would be the Jinhao. Jinhao is really, really close. I got to tell you, both in terms of quality and the way the pens look. Wow. You know, there you have it. It's quite a feat, let me tell you. So in terms of quality, these Jinhao imitations are really, really good. You know, Majon goes out of its way with some of this resins, which I think is a little bit heavier than my original Mark II, but there again, pretty damn close. Pretty close, I can tell you. There you have it. The Atmok, for some reason, it's got a little more weight to it, but there again, yeah, comparisons, good comparison is there. Although I got to tell you, this nib from Parker is just a little bit bigger than, a number 6 nib. Is it because it's sticking out a little more from its setting? Perhaps, but I like to think it's different. There you have it. So that's the pen and size comparison. Like I said, I'm not going to do an uncapping because I just have too many here to compare. Why don't we put up some measurements, and then we'll do a writing sample and maybe compare the writing with some of these other pens. Be right back. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. The ink I've chosen for this is none other than Dieman Oxblood, which I think is ideal for this pen. It's a red ink that has kind of a black undertone, which kind of reflects this Jasper Red resin. And the paper I'm going to treat it to is Tomoe River, that I've been using for some time now, and it is my trusted fountain pen friendly paper. So let's get on with the show, as they say. This is the Parker Duofold and it's Mark II in Jasper Red. Let me tell you, folks, this nib is just absolutely gorgeous. The nib is a Parker 18 karat, and it's a fine ink, as I mentioned is Dieman, ox blood. Very wet. Extremely smooth. Not, and most constant. It doesn't skip on me. I've been using this pen all week. I've enjoyed it all week, and let me tell you, folks, it's just, it is a little bit of a nail. So for an 18 karat, I don't believe it has, a significant softness to it as compared to some of the other gold nibs. It kind of pretty stiff in my view, and I don't believe you can get that much line variation from it. So it's fairly stiff, I would say. Fast writing. Not a problem. Reverse writing. Oh, I mean, you'll get by. You're getting almost an extra fine line, but that kind of keeps up. It keeps up. So there you have it. I mean, I'm not going to go through the likes and dislikes. I have 100% likes. This is an iconic Grail pen that is not disappointed. It has the design, the most copied design. The materials used are just excellent. The nib is excellent. The weight, writing comfort is excellent. Is this a go-to pen? There's no doubt in my mind that it is a go-to pen. It's 100% go-to. Even the price that I paid this pen is I paid it $300. I think is. Can you find it cheaper? I'm not sure. Can you find it more expensive? Definitely. I've seen it. And where does it situate itself in terms of the best duofold for a collector? I'm not sure. It's certainly not a 1920s, orange original model, which I'm sure if you can find one of those in good condition would go for quite a bit. But having said that, I finally have my hands on the real thing, and I think it's just ideal. Now, how does it compare to some of my other? I got to tell you, some of these imitations are just really, really nice. This one is the Majon or Moon Man M700. It's got a number 6 steel fine Bach nib. I had not used this pen for months. Picked it up and it just it's my favorite Bach nib. Now, either because it's just perfectly tuned or it came out of the box that way, but let me tell you, I don't have many others fine Bach nibs that write like this M700. So there you have it. This is my Admoc. They don't have a name for it, but I'll call it my Admoc Duofold. And you'll forgive me for that. It's a number 6 steel medium Schmidt. Just writes just absolutely beautifully, I got to tell you. Very comfortable. I like that resin. So if you want to feel what feel in your hands what a Parker Duofold feels. This one's comes very, very close. This is the Kegeloo, which is a little bit different. Less copying and more inspiration. This is the Kegeloo. What is it? The 316? I forget what the number is. It's got kind of a long knife nib, but all of the Kegeloo nibs are just, and I think it's a medium. It's steel, and it's a number 6. Very nice. The Kegeloo's feels a little bit different, looks different. Yeah, it's got kind of that inspired duofold look, but the band's different, the finial is different, the clip is different, so at least they've made an effort to distinguish it. Then, of course, I've got my Jinhao Centennial imitation right down to the color, although it's not the same orange. And this is the Jinhao Centennial or 100 with a Jinhao medium nib, I believe it is. Generic number 6 steel. Has a little more tooth, and I find that these nibs always have to kind of be tuned out of the box. They're never perfect. Even here I noticed that there's a little bit of scratching that I could get rid of with a little mesh, you know. But again, if you want to feel what a Parker Duofold feels like, well, this Jinhao comes very, very close. Would I invest the money and get the real thing? Folks, if you can afford it, absolutely. This thing is the real thing. So I'll end my review here. Just sign it. I want to finish the review not with my face, but with the face of this beautiful pen. Folks, it's made me very, very happy. Intellectually, as I mentioned to you, does not give me the same emotion as my Visconti, and certainly not as my Delta Dolce Vita. But let me tell you, it is just a beautiful Grail pen that I welcome in my Grail pen collection. Thank you very, very much for bearing with me. I hope that was interesting and entertaining. Please subscribe. Stay tuned for my next videos. There's a lot of pens to review, a lot of fountain pen therapy to be had. I have some new inks for you, some new paper, and some new pens. Stay tuned. Grazie molto. Arrivederci. Ciao.